Okay. Here we are. Try to do a little bit more painting today. Let's start off by putting some of this stuff away. Maximilian. Welcome. Haven't seen you in a while. Working on training your minions, huh? Like the new face cam. Excellent. Well, it's working okay. Had a little bit of a problem with it a little while ago. I had to reboot the computer, but... Okay, we solved it. All right. So this morning we were working on these crossbowmen, and they're almost done, so hopefully we can finish that up. This will be the 3 of 8. And what we have left to do on these guys is, let's go ahead and put the little, I'm gonna need this out. We're going to, should be some remnants of colors that are okay here. I just do the grip on the sword is just in gray. Seems to work all right. I'd say probably the biggest, I don't know what's better, the view, the improved view, or the improved sound. The sound is, I'd like to think that the sound is better. The improved view didn't cost me anything else. We just had to get had to be on cable modem, as opposed to the old DSL thing that wouldn't allow me to stream at a better resolution. The Pope's troops, that's right. Paid by the Pope. Your tithe buys the Pope's troops. We don't have much left on these guys. Really don't. And then we'll move on to the other set of crossbowmen. Had kind of a low turnout this morning. It turned out all right, but people wanted to sleep in on Sunday, I guess. Not me. That's a waste. Hope the microphone's not picking up the fan. I got the fan on full bore. It is downright hot out there. Okay. Alright, so one of these guys is going to have black hair and a black beard. Might as well be this guy. I meant black mustache. Yeah, they got a cast on mustache. So if you don't want to put a mustache on these guys, you're SOL. Straight out of lasagna. SOL. Just a tiny little bit of highlighting. Don't need to have much. And this guy's ready for shoes, and that's it with him. Alright, next guy we're going to do brown hair. Do we have a brown floating around here? We got that one. That one should work just fine. Stephen Gross. Welcome. In the middle of nowhere from Kansas. In the middle of nowhere or the middle of everywhere? You like the split screen? Good, because it's here to stay. Until something happens to my laptop cam. I didn't want to have to buy a camera. I didn't want to do that. I don't really have a use for a camera. I already have a phone. Hooked that up as one. Which actually was more difficult than I would have thought. I thought, like, oh, okay, it's a phone. Right, I've already filmed with it. But no, since it's going through the computer, it kind of freaked out a little bit. I think we got that resolved. And then the other one is a little laptop cam. Only thing is I wish it was a little closer so I wouldn't have to put my glasses to see what you guys are writing, but no, it happens. Oh, we already have more activity than we did in the first hour of this morning. Let's see what we got here. It's always about the hardware, isn't it? It really is. So when you field these, does the Pope guarantee sixes? I doubt it. I have a feeling they're not going to do very well. They'll probably do better than the real Pope did in real life. Real popes didn't do very well in real life. Before the 15th century, they're usually on the short end of the stick, for sure. For sure on the short end of the stick. Okay, that one's done. I want to do a blonde one. Screen is reversed again. Thank you. I didn't do the check this morning. When will I learn? I need to just go back to how I did it before where I didn't make as many mistakes. It's frustrating. Maybe I should just get drunk before I got on here. Then I wouldn't care. Your Papal Italians seem to do okay. Supposedly it's a terrible army in DBMM. That's what I hear. Ben, where are you from? I know you're on here frequently. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you. Keeping me company. Good evening, my time. There he is, the German. You tend to fight them against historical foes. Okay. You're playing them. You guys are still playing 2.2 in Kansas? Is that right? That's fine. You know, if everybody wants to play that, you got to play whatever people want to play. You know? I've played lots of games at 2.2. Hundreds of games at 2.2. I don't know that I'd play any now. I just have to give too many things up. Oh, Lancashire. Excellent. Yes, you are. I take it that means you're still playing 2.2. Is the army list that different in 2.2? One of my favorite armies in 2.2 did not convert well to 3.0. And I'm kind of up a creek when it comes to them. You can't do it all yourself unless you have a bunch of minions that are like, well, we're going to play whatever Steve wants to play. And Steve wants to play, you know, version 1.0, and all of a sudden everybody moves to play 1.0. Other than that, it's pretty much give and take. You know, you can't be... It's not your way or the highway. You don't have anybody to play with, so... Omaha and Des Moines as well. This is somewhere like I've used some 3.0 for 2.2 games. We had several people that did not want to play. Nobody really was opposed to playing 3.0. They just didn't want to have to redo their army list, which I get it. But I've kind of forgotten that that's even an option. But if somebody shows up in one of our games and says, hey, I have a 2.2 list, will you let me play them in 3.0? Yeah, you can play them in 3.0. Now, if they went out of the way and built them as a 2.2 because the army was better, that's the wrong reason. But, you know. There's, I think the troop types are better balanced in 3.0. I think that the fact that blades aren't impetuous and that spears get quick killed by elephants is just and blades don't in 2.2 would be a deal breaker now. But I played probably 700 games of it. You know, measure all corners. I'm not doing that again. Yeah, it would be like it'd be like going and watching a black and white movie. For me, I don't want to watch black and white movies. It's like going back in time. So. But if you're enjoying what you're doing, do it. Like I said, you might be willing to play 3.0, but your whole group isn't, well, you kind of have to go what they want to do too, or you won't have any players, you know? So. Okay, now we just need to do shoes on all three of these guys, and we're done with them. We can go on to the next guy. When you have 42.2 armies, conversion's not an option. Yeah, I wouldn't convert them. Just play with them. You know, if you want to go and play another set of rules, just play with them the way they are. Yeah, that's time wasted. Yeah. Okay. Shoes. One of the players here who I hadn't seen in almost, has it been a year or 2 years? I don't know how long the hell it's been. I hadn't seen him in a long time. He's hiding in a cave ever since all this happened. He has a ton of armies, but he doesn't paint them. So he's got a couple of armies that are 2.2 armies, and they're made by painters that are no longer alive. So, you know, but I think that they, you know, the 3.0 army list tend to be more flavorful than the 2.2. So, but you know, if you want to play the 2.2s in a 3.0 game, as long as they behave like 3.0, does it really matter? You know, not really. We don't really have instances of that happening anymore. But you know, if somebody shows up and says that, that's fine. Not a big deal. As long as they're not doing it for nefarious reasons. I think the addition of allies is such a huge thing because it basically makes every army more playable. Have armies that might not be very reasonable to fight, like in the open, and then all you got to do is just exchange 3 of the units. Obviously, you've got the parameters you have to follow, but makes everything a little bit more playable. That's a good thing. Several set of rules of 2.2, but I haven't pulled them out in a long time. I remember one of them would travel with me. This was like the days before I had a internet on the phone, and I'd always have the 2.2 book with me, and there'd always be something in there to surf. Eastern Franks crushed my northern Slavs. Well, that's not a surprise. Next up, Franks versus Italian Langobards. That's a better one. We're coming for your Pope. Okay. We may be a medieval German army by the time we come knocking. Okay. We're coming for my Pope. I'm just painting him. He's not my army. He's not my people. I'm not Italian. Feel free to rape him. I'm just painting him. I don't believe anybody has played this army in our group, so. Okay, shoes on neck dudes are done. Give this guy black shoes. I'm tired all of a sudden. You have several armies painted by a man who passed away several years ago. So those armies are my memorial armies. Okay. Yeah, I've got one of my armies that has figures made by somebody who died, so I can't get those anymore. And they're really soft alloy. That's my Koreans. And yeah, I've got some extras. I probably could convert them into 3.0 Korean army, but the problem is after I built the army, somebody had told me that they had the figures were inaccurate too. So I was like, thanks. But if I went and rebuilt that army, I could use Khorasan, because Khorasan supposedly makes the correct armies for that dynasty. However, what's going to happen is they're not going to match. You know, they're not going to be they're not going to be exactly the same style or anything. So I've just kind of decided to punt on those guys, not do anything with them. So. Alright, we're going to do this guy in black shoes. Alright, we're going to call it a day on these three guys. We'll move on to the other folks. Okay. 3 feet, probably won't notice any inaccuracies in a Krieg army. Well, they're inaccurate from the standpoint of the figures and stuff. So they're marketed as Koguryo, the Koguryo dynasty, which is Dark Ages, around 600. They were like 250 or 380 to 660 or something like that. But the figures are actually more of a dynasty. It's like 600 years later. So, you know, it's a good-looking army. I mean, the figures look nice. It just, I don't know if I want to go and convert the entire army and repaint extra elements, which I think I have enough of his figures, but then they'll be like the wrong time period. So I just kind of just decided to, like, you know, I got enough different things to do. I don't need to box myself into having to do that. So, all right, these crossbowmen are done. I'll have you guys take a look at them. Since we don't know where Foamy went, we'll just use this from now on. Till this disappears. Okay. That's what we're going to use. So, let's put them over there. And see where our next candidates. There's 2 of these. And there's 3 of these. So let's paint these 3. And same thing, what's going to be somewhere on these folks is they're going to have this shirt that's under them. It's actually under their little jacket. Is all 3 of these guys are the same pose. See if I can. Is this literally the only thing that'll work? Okay. They have a shirt underneath their padded jacket, and that'll match that red. That'll be the same color. And the padded jacket will be some kind of light shade, and we'll use a similar color on the pants. So I'm going to mix them all in the stands and so forth. There's 2 stands of 8, so one of those 3 guys will have 2 of them, and the other one will have 1. And likewise, probably have 2 of these on the stand that has 1 of that, and then 1 on the stand that has 2, and then 1 each of these guys on either stand. That's at least what we're planning on doing. Let me go get me a refill. We'll get started on these other crossbowmen. The other 3. I don't know. I doubt any of this red is still alive. That's why I don't get tired. So the seat's a little better. Maybe it's not. Damn it. I tightened the hell out of it. I watched a video on what you needed to do. And this guy says, hey, just start tightening. I didn't want to just start spraying a bunch of WD-40 and hope for the best. I actually have I have a silicone-based lubricant that I can't find anywhere. It's like in a can, like a WD-40. And it works a hell of a lot better. And I have a whole can of it. I just don't know where the hell it is, so. Oh well. It seems like it's gotten better. I just didn't like to reach over. It's like a creaky ship. It's like a pirate ship with no pirates. So, not that I want pirates all over the place, but. Is that just an American thing? Is that an American thing that's... I'm talking about even before the stupid Pirates of the Caribbean movie crap. Is it an American thing that just always fascinated by pirates? I never was. I never was. All right. Red. This is the one. Yeah, the Amorites. I'd never heard of anybody building the Amorites, and as soon as I start working on them, they did some kind of a poll, and I find out 2 other people are already have Amorite armies. I'm like, well, they're people I don't encounter, but I'm like, what? I never even heard about those guys. Never even heard of them. All right, undershirts down here. Not really an undershirt per se, but there's a shirt that they're wearing, like a long shirt, and then the stuff's layered on top of it. So that's just going to be red. I think we're just going to go ahead and finish this guy all the way up to the top, so we don't. One of the things I dislike the most is putting this figure down and grabbing another one, because in doing that is where you end up scuffing up some of the figure, or, scuffing up some of the black on the edge or something like that. So, Jeremy Heller, welcome. Just wanted to say hello and thanks for your content. New to DBA, where your videos and streams are inspiring to me to focus on DBA Ancients. It's a great game. It's not perfect, but it gets things done. Especially this time where people don't have a lot of time to do things. It's as small as a time commitment as you can get, And if you do have more time, you just build more armies, Is the game perfect? No. Could it be better? Sure. Could it be worse? Oh, hell yeah, it could be a hell of a lot worse. There could be like 40 different codexes you have to buy, and then, we're not selling enough codex, so come up with more, and, it's only a money pit if you decide to buy a ton of armies, But then what? You know what? Then you have a ton of armies. It's not like you have a ton of rule books. So, yeah, I've enjoyed it. I first played a game in 2004, and I haven't looked back. So, and I'm not even an Ancients Medieval dude. I guess I kind of am now by default. But that's not my thing. I never had played a ancients or medieval game until then. I never played with Romans. Never. Just wasn't around. You know, when you're a kid, well, I wasn't that young, but I mean, you know, I was. See, what would I have been in 2004? 33? You know, I had never played an Ancients game. It's not that I avoided it. It's just, you know, people in my group didn't play Ancients. And my town never played Ancients. And how the hell are you going to play Ancients? I mean, unless you've got, you know, really motivated to just get the whole ball rolling by yourself. Which I never was. I can't do it all myself, so. Yeah, I like this. It's a hell of a. We've had more fun playing this silly game than pretty much anything else. I mean, easily. So we will see. For those of you guys that like game videos, there probably will not be a game video tomorrow. I think I'm gonna stay home and paint. So I want to knock these guys out, be done with them, do the Amorites. I know I'm pushing forward so I can get these Amorite guys done, and for the convention. Whether or not we're going to have one or not is a different matter, but we're just going to have to move forward like there's going to be one. And if they have one, fine. If they don't have one, well, at least we have a game group that plays together. All fair enough as it is. So. Okay, and let's continue. Let's let's continue. Let's continue. I'm kind of doing sort of assembly line fashion with these guys, and it seems to be it's definitely more productive. You definitely have less time, but it's harder to stay motivated because you have less to show for it. Since you don't have anything to show for it until they're all done, you know. And if you're working on multiple figures, then it takes a lot longer to get them. It takes 3 times as long, theoretically, to get done. So it's hard to stay on track. But since we're filming it, I seems to be a little bit better for me to not lose interest in them. Although I am having trouble staying awake, but yeah, sort of disappointed with games like Flames of War with the endless book releases. Yeah, not my thing. Yeah, enjoy World War II gaming, but don't enjoy most of the games out there these days because of the constant changing of rules. Yeah, Spencer Wright, welcome. What did I play prior to DBA? That's an excellent question. I don't think anybody's asked me that ever. I volunteered it. Here we go. All right, hold on. We need a big drag of coffee for this one. Okay, so I started wargaming when I was about 16 years old, and at a hobby store. And they first started playing. One of the first things I was interested in, ever, in middle school, when I was about 11 years old, so that would have been the early 80s, I started picking up books on World War II and really got into the ship stuff. And my dad always had all kinds of coffee book type books, you know, illustrated with stuff. And he had one on battleships, and it always fascinated me. I did a little review of it. I turned page by page on it. If you look on my channel there under my playlist, there's one on book reviews, and it's the Encyclopedia of the World's Battleships. So that was around, got that book in the early 80s, and it just fascinated me. And in the mid 80s, I found out that these group of people played a set of rules called Secret 4. And I went whole hog into that. We were playing that, and we were playing some World War II Command Decision as well with micro armor. Did some Combined Arms, which is the modern version that came out around 88 or 1989 or something like that. So pretty much that stuff. It was all products that were made by GHQ. So it was all either 1/25th or 1/2400 scale ships. And pretty much at that point, I had played quite a bit of the naval stuff. Probably, I'd say 150 games maybe, which sounds like a lot, but not compared to my DBA numbers. But I wasn't consistently playing every week. And I also wasn't playing a game that could be done in an hour. So in a 4-hour session, you could knock out 4 games. So that's what it was, pretty much only World War II gaming. The command decision got old because there weren't really meaningful decisions that you got to make from time to time. You would end up being put in a situation, and there was kind of one obvious thing to do. So it was kind of on a bit of an autopilot type game, and the infantry was so abstract and immaterial to the game that it wasn't very satisfying. So that kind of went away for a little while, but we did play a fair amount of it. I live in a town that's very transient, so people disappeared that that played games, and it was hard to kind of get a group together of people in there. So there was like a lack of, from I'd say probably 1990, the early 90s, 92 until 2092, I really didn't have anybody in freaking town. There was a friend of mine who came back into town, and we started getting together once a week, and we started painting. And again, I saw these figures. We went on one of these trips to, in the 90s, you had stores had inventory. So there was a store called Emperor's Outpost in Tampa, which is about 2 hours away from us, and we would take a road trip down there to pick up figures. And I came across a set of rules called Armati, about 97, something like that. And it really intrigued me because there was you could play Renaissance Spanish with it. And I was like, I don't mind painting some Renaissance Spanish guys because, that's my heritage. And, people want to play their army when they kicked ass, right? Well, that's the time period when, my people kicked ass. And then, we forgot how to spend money and wanted to fight the whole world at once, et cetera, multiple reasons. But anyhow, so, but I never got around to playing the game because I wasn't motivated to paint, even though I painted probably 4 or 5 different units. I wasn't motivated to paint because I hadn't played the game yet. So I'm definitely somebody who needs to play the game first to realize how to wrap your head around it, to be able to play it on my own, to become better at it. Or to play it correctly, not necessarily to become better at it from a winning standpoint. But in the mid to late 90s, we were trying to come up with our own skirmish level World War II game, and weren't really successful because people came and went, and we didn't have computers where you could just enter all this stuff and modify charts how you need to, and so it never really got off anywhere. And I did, in the early 2000s, came across a set of rules Canadian set of rules called The Face of Battle. And that pretty much was really close to what we were coming out with. So we played that a couple times, and then, everybody kind of moved out of town. And I really didn't do any wargaming at all until, say, 2004, when I discovered DBA. And I just played that at the cons, and it wasn't until Mitch came into town around 2010 that I've consistently played the last 12 years, pretty much on a weekly basis. But basically, I'm a World War II gamer, but I haven't played World War II stuff since before DBA, and I probably never will. I'm extremely anal retentive when it comes to that. I couldn't play Flames of War. It is just way too abstract and generic-ish for my taste. I'm definitely a rivet counter when it comes to vehicles and stuff like that. And it just gets to the point where it's like, okay, I'm not going to get anything done. I'm going to enjoy playing it, but we're never going to get anything accomplished. Or, we can play a set of rules where you can get stuff accomplished, but then I won't find it very satisfying. So it's just better just to play this DBA game, So, Same for me. Lots of modern JHQ micro armor, BattleTech. Yeah, we did BattleTech too. I forgot to mention in that. Warhammer Fantasy and 40K. I never played a single Warhammer. I never played a Games Workshop game. I had the original Warhammer 40K book, the one that was beautiful, but that had the bad binding. So as soon as you started turning pages, it would like crackle out and you were losing pages. You know, their books are beautiful, but never played it. I think I painted a squad of Imperial Guard or something like that. I saw the figures and I'm like, these could be cool to paint. I mean, they would look like shit if I still had them. I sold them a long time ago, but if I still had them, I'd be like, oh, this is too primitive for me. But I'll tell you this: the first game I ever played that was a tournament game is this. And I think that the people that I encounter playing games with this game, this tournament, are better quality than those that play any other kind of game that aren't even competitive. I mean, obviously they're competitive. You're trying to win, but for me the appeal is when we were doing naval games. I would have my own miniatures, and I would go. And 1/2400 scale is a common scale for naval miniatures here in the United States. So I would go to a show and I would bring my figures with me, my miniatures, and I would, I'd know that, oh, there's a naval game, let's play that, and find out what, who I'd want to play based on what ships I had. And I would say, hey, take your ships off, I'll play with mine. So even though somebody would supply all of the vessels, I would try to replace the ones I was using with my own, because that was the incentive in getting your own. I mean, otherwise, why even bother collecting ships and paint them if somebody's going to supply all the stuff? So, you didn't miss anything. I don't know what that means. Yeah. Oh, I didn't miss anything playing Warhammer 40K. I was spoiled playing games that I think were better organized, laid out, than the games are now. Maybe I was younger, but like I could never wrap my head around weapon skill, all that's. I never played a game of it, so I can't have a frame of reference of where to start reading. I don't know. Yeah, I probably didn't. So there's 3 Games Workshop games that I was actually interested in playing, and before I even got my feet wet and got off the ground, they discontinued them. And they are Man of War, obviously because it was the fantasy naval thing. Looked really cool. Wait, you open up those White Dwarf magazines, and the people that paint in there are like gods. I mean, it makes you salivate anything. It's like, I don't give a shit about fantasy stuff, but that's really cool. I mean, if I'd play a game if things look like that, right? Man of War, Dark Future, which was their Car Wars type game, and what was the other one? Epic. I saw some article that had these freaking demons or whatever just beating on tanks and stuff. It's like, well, that's really unique. You could have a lot of fun with that. But when I grew up, you either made rules or you made miniatures. You didn't do both. And I think the fact that you do both is kind of, I can see where from a business standpoint that benefits them, but I'm not going to invest hundreds of hours in something and then have them just say, we're not going to support this and we're not going to do it anymore. Because you basically just pissed away my 100 hours that I worked on this stuff, my hundreds of hours. Like, I'm not letting anybody do that, So, forget cost, just time, You were introduced to war games around 17 years old with a Civil War game called Rally Around the Flag. Cold War 6th Edition is a tabletop miniatures game. Well, now if you want to play that kind of games, you just grab Gaslands. Gaslands is a pretty decent game. I played about 6 games of it. And you could get stuff done. Even the last time that we tried to get together, we didn't accomplish much, but we weren't really prepared. It involves Gaslands is still a pretty simple game, but it does involve some pre-planning and like designing your vehicles. And the last time we played, we didn't know how many people were going to show up, and we just kind of showed up and designed our cars at the last minute. Even though we kept them pretty basic, we ran out of time. But it's probably the second most playable game I own. This is definitely the easiest one because everybody knows the rules. We just show up and we start rolling dice, you know. And it isn't perfect. It could be better. You could house rule some stuff and make it a better game. Certainly with the experience we've had in playing, well, I've played over 2,000 games of DBA, so I mean I know what I like and I know what works. So, but it just, you know, it's just easier just to keep it the way everybody plays it, and you know, that way you can go to a show and everybody can start rolling dice and having fun. You know, I'm not much of a rules lawyer, so I'd rather have a good time and have fun than sit there and argue about stuff. So, but Gaslands isn't bad, but it does involve some you know, it actually reminds me a lot of Battletech when we used to play, like, okay, we're going to show up and, you know, we each have 200 tons or whatever it was that we were playing, and you kind of design your own things. But we played about half a dozen of games. Not enough to be able to do videos of it. We'd get so much stuff wrong that it would be, you know, counterproductive. But but you know, I mean, even the thing about making game videos is you're going to get stuff wrong. Even people that design the game get stuff wrong. Like there's, I've watched several videos of, what's that Two Fat Lardies game? Not Imp and Shot Mum, the other one. Chain of Command. There's lots of videos of Chain of Command, including ones playing the designer, and he makes mistakes on there. You know, it's going to happen. It's, you know, whether it's intentional or not, you know, it's just frustrating to get things wrong. It's frustrating to get a video 2 hours in and then realize that everything you've done, it's back-asswards, you know. So, damn humanity. But, yeah. And, you know, I've played board games too, and, you know, not everything, but, like, I'm too young to have ever played SPI stuff. I've never played an SPI game, ever. And I don't think I'm missing much, because, honestly, they're not much to look at. You know, they might be great games, but they're not. I'm not opposed to board games as long as they look appealing. But I'm too young to have ever played them. And I don't have a problem with those type of board games. I would just much rather play it on a computer. Because it's like, okay, press a button and the game's set up. Not like, let's spend 3 hours setting the game up and then, you know, play it wrong. And, you know, a computer game doesn't have to be a first-person shooter. It can be a translated game into a board game translated into a digital format, you know. But I'm pretty much, you know, when it comes to war games, I'm definitely a World War II gamer. Civil War, never cared for Civil War. Napoleonics, never really played much Napoleonics. So, you have and you aren't. I prefer simple rules that give you a quick but complicated enough to give you a fun game. DBA offers that. Yeah, I think DBA could be better, but it is what it is. It's too complicated to try to. The conforming crap is too complicated. Too much of your effort involves the thinking of that, you know. What those guys did with a restrictive medium was incredible. Yeah, Avalon Hill, I played several of them. Yeah. Just don't make me play 1830. Oh, man, I hated that game. Are there any games you guys would never play again? 1830, I would never play 1830 again. I would never play Third Reich again. I detested both of those games. Burps and GURPS and LERPs and no. There's not many games I'd say I'm not playing that game again, but those two, you know. Neither one of them are nice to look at, for starters. Modern Naval's fun. You know what? There was a game called Attack Sub. It was an Avalon Hill game. It was a card-driven game. That was a fun game. It was kind of like Upfront, but a more simplified Upfront with Naval. That was a fun game. That was a fun little game. Agreed, geometry stuff is mind-numbing at times. It is. It just doesn't feel like you're playing a real combat. Guns of August, never played it. Have I ever played a World War I game? I don't think so. I got nothing against World War I. It's before my time. You know? Yep, played lots of Squad Leader, Advanced Squad Leader. Wow. Never cared for the Panzer Leader, The oldest game I played, I think I played Tactics. Or Tactics 2. The red and the blue one. I played it one time. The game I played, the first board game I ever played, I think I was like 15 years old. The first war game that was a board game that I played, I think I was 15, and it was Barlev, and it's the one with the ugly board. But it's actually a good-looking game because the counters look nice, you know, with the planes and the... I forget who makes it. Is it Yakinto? The old Barlev game, the board is like two colors. It's like orange and brown. I think there's, you know, watercolor too, whatever. But the units actually look okay. That's a fun game. I think that game came out right after that conflict, so it would have been 73, 74, something like that. Africa Corps, never played it. Love Africa Corps stuff. I love the desert. The desert is cool. You know, I don't like conflict, but you know what I'm saying. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. Both sides are very interesting in that. Both sides have really neat looking stuff. You know. So if you like board games, I don't know if they still have them for computer. There's and they stopped making them, the sons of bitches, unfortunately. There's a company that was part of Slytherin, or Slytherin Bottom, whatever. This company called Shenandoah Studios, and they actually made 3. I never got a chance to play the third one, even though I bought it. But they were for the iPad, and they make a game called Battle of the Bulge, and the other one is like Drive on Moscow or something like that. And they're counter type games that'll work on both the Xbox One and a PC. They may work on Apple as well. Those are phenomenal because they're simple, but there's a lot of in-depth, and it's basically one counters a division, and there's limited stacking in each. It's not hex, but it's like by zone. I love those games. I've played them so much, and they made one that was the Desert Fox one, and I had bought it just before what I heard someone call the 64-bit apocalypse. And that's when everything went to, they reconfigured the operating systems and the software. Some of the software manufacturers just didn't update them, and I ended up buying that Desert Fox and never played a single game of it because at that point it was for the iPad. But they only made 3 of those that I know of, and that's the 3. Those games are phenomenal, and I believe they're available. I believe they're available on PC. Through Steam. They're wonderful. They're absolutely wonderful games. Now, they're simple, okay? But one of the cool things about them is you move from zone to zone, but when you basically do a bound and your opponent does a bound. But in between bounds, you don't know how much time actually passes. So you have to prioritize who you want to move. So there's kind of a pip mechanism, so to speak. You know, you're not going to be able to move everyone, but you know, um, Compass Games just reissued Barlev. Okay. Well, I don't know if the new one may just be too complicated. You know, and I don't mind a game being complicated. I just the more complicated a game is, the odds are you're going to play it wrong. It's really unsatisfying to play a game wrong. So, I don't mind those counter type games on computer. I really don't. I remember way back when one of my favorite series they came out was the whole V for Victory series that 360 came out with in the mid 90s. They had Stalingrad, and they had a Velikia Luki and Market Garden and all those things. They handled supply really well. I played those a lot too. I remember a friend of mine introduced me to him, and I whooped his ass several times. He's like, "How do you know how to?" I know how to. I know what I need to do. I just don't know. I've just never played this game before. You know. Yeah, I got such a kick out of it. I was like, okay, this is how you play this game. And it was like a blind. Like, okay, I take a turn, and then I leave the room, and then he takes a turn, and then it does the combat. And he got beat badly. He's like, how do you know how to... Because I'm a war gamer. I know what I need to do. It's just a matter of, okay, what's on what menu? Okay, move this guy. You know, pre-plot turns. But those Shenandoah Studios games are spectacular. They're so simple, but they're so deep. You know, it's true to the original, just looks better. What's a good game for Dark Ages using DBA type basing? I don't know. I've only played this one. I know some people play that. What's the one that has the funny name? I know that doesn't narrow it down. It's only like for Dark Age England, which isn't my thing. Maybe it has to do because I don't have English ancestry. There's a game that is only Dark Ages England, and I'm not talking about I can't think of what it is. I've never played it, but it came out like 5 or 6 years ago, or whatever. It seemed to be pretty popular, but it's not Saga. I would do Saga if it was 15s, and if they hadn't come out with, first of all, they started doing like a bunch of Dark Ages England stuff, which is like, okay, not interested in that faction, not interested in that faction, not interested in that faction, not, and then after a while, it's like, okay, I can't be involved in everything, so. Yeah, it's some rule set that came out a couple of years ago, 5, 6 years ago, maybe even 7 or 8, that's all like the King Arthur battles type stuff. Dux Bellorum, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah. That seems to be pretty popular. It's not my period, so. Dark Ages England just isn't very interesting. To me. That's not my heritage. Hey, I don't like American history either. American history sucks. It's boring as shit, so. There's Glutter of Ravens, which is Dux's production. Okay. Computers make counter games more true to the rules. That will keep you on the straight and narrow. Yeah. And you can save it and pick it up exactly where you left off, because odds are you're not going to get it done in one evening, So. Yeah. No, but most most war gamers are English. Most war gamers are English speaker, and I'd say a high percentage of them are from the UK. Well, that's where it started. I mean, it makes sense. So, that theme is going to resound well with, people from the UK. It makes sense, Now, one game that has a lot of potential, I played it a couple times at a con, is Lion Rampant. Lion Rampant is really interesting. You got some really meaningful decisions to make from time to time. It's a very push your luck type game. And you could certainly play it with this kind of basing. You could certainly play, you could just mark off casualties and stuff like that. But Lion Rampant is kind of cool. I played that a couple times at a show with 28 millimeter figures. Obviously, I'm not going to go paint 28s. I don't have a dozen hours to paint one figure. That's basically what it would encounter. But it's a fun game, and there's meaningful decisions you get to make every time. You know, like, do you want to try to activate the guy? It's easy, but you don't really need to, or do you want to try to do the good, you know, the guys that you really need to win? But then if you botch it, you didn't do anything. You know. Unfortunately, most game designers are from Great Britain. Why is that unfortunate? I don't have a problem with it. Most miniatures are from the UK. All my favorite miniatures don't come from this continent. They're all UK. That's why I say the UK is the land of toys. And we'll throw in the UK altogether because, you know, there's several good manufacturers that come from Scotland. The shipping's kind of a pain. I mean, you know, but whatever. It'll either change, it'll get straightened out, or it never will, or whatever. But yeah, England's a land of toys for sure. There's probably people in England that are, you know, do GHQ stuff and they're cussing the world because it costs them so much to get it over there. But hey, I'd all the toys I want are from frickin' the UK. Or the money, 28 millimeter cost. Yeah, I could handle the cost. I can't handle the time. Not that I want to handle it. Okay. Oh, here we go. As a Scotsman, I like it. I like the intra-rivalry. I can only say most warfare designer English because they started most wars. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. I'm not going to go there. They've been involved in a lot of wars. Nothing was started it, but they didn't start the second one. Of course, if they would have just stayed out of the first one, there wouldn't have been a second one, but let's not go there. I've been tempted by Lion Rampant as Fantasy Brothers. Dude, Rick, it is a cool game. It is a really neat game. There's a guy here at our show. He's an ex middle school principal that had a war games club. Talk about, I might have actually enjoyed middle school had there been someone cool like that did it. And he ran a lot of games, and he's retired since then. But he does put on games at our shows, and any show he puts on, any game he puts on his show, he just has the right personality for it. Okay, you know, like some people are made to run games. This guy's excellent, and he decided to get into Lion Rampant, and his games are a hell of a lot of fun. You know. Sassenach. I have no idea what the hell that means. Yeah. I love seeing the, you know, all the fun and just inter-country rivalries in the United Kingdom. It's hilarious. It's how we make fun of like people from New York, you know, and stuff like that. You know, we fight amongst the states, and you guys have your little country rivalry. I think it's cute. Oh man. That's hilarious. But yeah, this guy, the Lion Rampant, is really, really cool. You know, one thing that makes a really good game is, do you have meaningful decisions that you get to make every turn? Or is it kind of a game that's on autopilot, and are you rolling dice? In other words, is there only like one meaningful thing to do every turn? You know, and I think DBA is really good from that standpoint. There's almost always meaningful stuff that you have to do. I think Lion Rampant's really good in that respect as well. Oh, the Scottish word for the English is Sassenach. Really? Interesting. No idea. It's an educational show. Well, I dislike the Scottish and the English just the same. How about that? Nah, I don't dislike either one of you guys. I've met people from all countries that are nice. People aren't defined by their country. So, there's assholes from everywhere, you know? You guys do eat some weird stuff in Scotland, though. I mean, you know, that's where I draw the line. Oh, man. They eat some weird things in England, too. But I guess that's whatever you're used to. But that's funny. The little rivalries. Technically, it means from the south. I worry, though, about the activation system. At least in DBA, the minimum number of pips you can roll is a 1. So you always have at least something you can do. Unless you're playing blind general and choose to activate 2, cost your first action, only roll a 1 so it turns over. But in the rampant games, you choose to activate something and fail turn over. Yeah, I've played a couple games of it, and that didn't seem to be the issue. There's a lot of things to like about it. Probably the worst thing about the game is that it's fairly generic. So in other words, you kind of have to do your own research and come up with games. It's good because it's very unpredictable. And, you know, and it has cool stuff like, you know, units that have bows shoot at a distance, or javelin guys shoot at a distance. It's the sucky part about it is that if I remember correctly, like your units are very strict in how many figures they can have. I mean, obviously, if you're not playing a competitive game, if you're going to run games like you do, Rick, you can do whatever the hell you want, you know? And if they don't like it, well, then they can go home, you know? And that one guy can take his wife with him that you don't like. Problem solved, right? Which is funny that sometimes you post pictures on there, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, and I'm thinking in my head, is that her? Rick's a GM, and he has someone in his group who's trouble, and I don't need to know who they are, but that's funny. It's someone's wife. But anyhow, it's very strict. Like you have to have, you know, like your spearman units are always like 8. The numbers I could have are wrong, but they're always 8. They're never 7. They're never 9. Cavalry's always 6. It's never 5. It's never 4. You know, unless you take casualties. So I think that part is pretty restrictive and generic. You know, that type of thing. But you know, you're making your own games. You're probably going to do scenarios anyways. I think it's a cool base system for that. At Culloden, the English brought guns to a knife fight. Yeah. You take advantage of what is at hand to consume. So, or rather, if you are a Tekatar, okay, you're from the north. Yeah, nowadays the rivalry is kept to the wargaming table. Yeah, that's good. You know, you don't get to pick who your mother is or where you get hatched. That's a saying I've always had. You don't get to pick who your mother is or where you get hatched. But it is fun to talk about it, you know, and it's good that we don't have to spill blood over it. So. Yeah. I posted something around 4th of July. Somebody said to me, I said, oh yeah, You're not still bitter about 1776. I said, shit, I'm still bitter about 1588. 1776 wasn't my people. It's fun to laugh about all that stuff. But it's pretty generic from the standpoint that, you know, it doesn't have national. I don't think there's national differences. So in other words, a spearman is a spearman regardless of where they're from, and you know, you could make your own kind of rules, or you know, for that. Now, there's a board game that I never had an ability to play it, but that seemed really, really cool. And maybe it's really dated. Maybe it doesn't actually play worth a damn, but I've heard good things about it. It has really high rating on Board Game Geek. It's called Guiscard, and it is like a man-to-man, almost chainmail type. It seems like that's what it is, you know, during Normans and that kind of stuff. And it's got lots of different expansions. Then I might actually make a pretty good game. That has a pretty high rating. I think they just made. I mean, the game's like 20 years old or something like that, which really isn't that long ago, depending on who you ask. But that might have a good system also. But again, it's like, you know, I don't mind buying the games. I just don't have it in me to sit there and read rules after rules after rules after rules. So, ex-girlfriend was a red-haired Scottish beauty from Edinburgh. She had a temper. Well, that's why she's an ex-girlfriend, right? Aye. I just missed something else. I didn't just keep these things on. All our women have a temper. Yeah. Good talk, man. Thanks for you guys entertaining me. I appreciate it. It keeps me on track to get stuff done. We gotta knock these guys out so we can move on to something else. Lots of stuff to do. Lots of plans. Not planning on doing it anytime soon. And like I said, is, you know, 20 years from now when I'm no longer playing DBA, I'm sure I'm still gonna be playing something that uses these figures. So, whatever the hell that means. There may be DBA 4.0, or we might get tired of 3.0 in 15 years from now and make our own house rules, and, you know, but we're still gonna keep the same army list, so, you know. We don't want people to redo armies. That's stupid. You know, that's a waste of time. So, need to build new armies, not redo armies. You know, what's done is done. Let's move on. Nearly done those expo guys. Almost. Well, I got 3 done today, which honestly is pretty good. 3 guys I got done in the morning. Once I get these guys done, then Amorites it is. Full bore Amorites. Amorites and gigabytes and megabytes. Why close this up? That's pretty much the conflicts I have played. I'm basically a World War II gamer, and now this Ancients medieval stuff. Never really played Napoleonics much, never really played 7 Years' War, or Lace Wars, or any of that stuff. I had never played Romans until I played DBA, anything. Just never have. Never really watched any Roman movies, you know. Well, that's not true. Let's see. I watched Gladiator before that, before I ever played DBA and Ben-Hur, but all the other stuff I'd never played. I'd never watched Spartacus first. I could batch paint the Amorites, to a certain degree, yeah. Yep. The main thing, even more, the batch paint is just paint every day. Just not get involved in 400 different things, and they'll kind of knock themselves out, you know. I did get the one guy painted. You want to see him? Where's my new thing? The one Amorite. We're waiting for the damn crossbow guys to dry and epoxy this and epoxy that. Always turning it the wrong way. Man, this light is just brutal. It doesn't look like the color it is. So, kind of boring. But, you know, he's got some details there on his bow. You know, not bad. You know, these are the most basic guys of the entire army. They're not going to be, you know, all colorful and stuff. You know, they're desert nomads that are just, you know, grab a bow and start shooting things. Okay. You know. Fall of the Roman Empire was a good movie. Never saw it. I started to, and just too dated. Just never saw it. That's the problem, is there's so many things to watch now. When something even moderately becomes a little slow, I'm like, heck with that. I'll watch something else. So, looks great. Thank you. I want to finish them because I want to see what they look like on the new basing. And I think that's what's going to tie them all together. Because we're going to do a basing similar to my desert guys here. Okay, because even though they are an arable army, their basing is going to be really similar to this, except these bushes that I'm going to have for them are not going to be as arid looking. They're going to be more green. And there's probably going to be more of them than just two. So they're going to be desert type ground, but with some greenery on them. So, you know, and I freaking love these guys. They don't fight worth a damn, but I love these guys. I like the Middle Eastern armies. They're kind of, I don't want to say they're kind of forgotten, but, you know, I like painting these armies that are just rudimentary, peasant, they're not all frills and fancy, and you got to kind of give them some personality of their own using like browns and linen colors and things like that. It's kind of a nice little challenge. So, budgie grit for the win. No, they're too loud. Chirp, chirp. All right, it's little boy's room time. I'll be right back. Try to make it quick. Take a moment to make sure everything's still charging properly like it should be here. We've got, right, fully charged. Excellent. So we don't have a drop off like we did the other morning. That was annoying. I'm not really sure what happened with that. It's a haunted house. wasn't drawing any power. So I don't know whether it was a dead plug or I don't know. All these houses are made haphazardly. I mean, unless you do it yourself, which, you know, who has time for that? All right. You know, I consider this house a pretty new house, man. It's almost 20 years old. But is it? No, it's over 20 years old. It's like 25 years old. Damn. Oh well. Well, this cable modem's working really well so far. Cable modem, cable internet, whatever. There's more of that tech I don't know jack about. What I was really surprised is there's actually seems like there's quite a bit of interest in playing the American Civil War in the United Kingdom. And I thought that was very, very strange. Like, why would that interest you? Like, it doesn't interest me at all. That's boring as that's boring as all get out. But first of all, it's only two sides, so that's boring. But all right, now let's go ahead and lighten this up with some white and see if we got some white that's alive. Is there any of you that are alive out here? No. No. I don't need much. Probably just got enough right there. Yep. It's a machine. ACW terrain is appealing. Railroad stations, hedges. Okay. I don't care for the history. I don't care for the time period. I don't care for the uniforms. And they're all American, and I'm American, so, you know. I mean, we could have a blast. Yours is almost 20. Yeah. It's a machine, yes. You're an anti-machine guy like me. Well, you know, I'm not anti-machines, but, you know, something doesn't work. Okay, cool, so let's fix it. Well, sometimes it works. Well, what do you mean sometimes it works? Like, give me an answer. You can't get a straight answer. I like painting. I'm not going to wake up one day and forget how to paint. Well, let's hope not. You know, but... Anyways, I was saying, I had a lot of fun playing troops from the South, but what kind of fun accents can you do playing troops from the North? None. You know? I think if you turn the American Civil War and make it interesting, like adding like British troops or French troops to it, you know. But short of that, it's not my cup of tea. Oh, snap. Oh, budgie grit. All right, so what's next is going to be this type of padded jacket that he's more like a padded vest that he has on. So we're going to go with some kind of a buff type color. UK, you play some great ACW board games. Never played one. Fire and Fury is a good rule set. I played the guys at the hobby store way back when used to play Johnny Reb. And yeah, just never interested me. Oh well, that's okay. I can't be interested in everything. Jeez, there's not enough for me to go around. It's a good way to get nothing done. Is be interested in everything. That's too yellow. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We'll have none of that. Is that close to the... It is. All right. Let's get that one over here. That's German World War II beige, which I probably would have called that Zeltbahn base color. That's very similar to what it is. Nope, too yellow. What's brown doing over here? I know what color I'm looking for. I'm looking for a color called buff. I'll find it eventually. Have the backs of the colors, and I know kind of what I'm looking for. Yep, there it is. Buff. Dong. Machines are useful, but have the limitations. You become dependent on them, and then they'll leave you hanging. We're going to use, we're not going to use a brown, we'll just use black as a darkener for this. This one should be just fine. Rick, I don't know if you're still on here. Did you decide to sell that Bronco or are you going to keep it? You got a pre-ordered Bronco. The car prices are insane. I've never seen this in my entire... We live in the most messed up times, certainly in my lifetime. Crazy stuff. Things are upside down. Animals are running the asylum. I'm glad we renewed our leases when we did. Well, we didn't have a choice. It's not like we wanted to get rid of the car. It's just like it's a rented car. Like, okay, well, it's time to get another one. Well, we better jump on it before we can or there's no options. You know? Ireland, German, Italian. Many immigrants took part in the Civil War. Irish brigades. Many Union regiments were made up of ethnic groups. I know, but none of them were my people. Yeah. Lots of people are interested. I just don't really care for American history. I took histories all my electives in college, so which I took them to learn about it, not to write freaking papers, but 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Still planning keeping it, but yeah, I see every day people sell their Broncos for more and more. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any and I just don't see it ending. I just think that the world makes less and less sense every day. I mean, I certainly don't worry about it, but it's just like, what now? What are they going to come up with now? It's almost like there's people out there that don't have enough on their plate, and they're just stirring the pot just to make it interesting. Like, there's people that I deal with on a daily basis of a certain trade, okay, that have a job that is really simple. And because it's really simple, they have a lot of time to sit around and think about other stuff, and they just create turmoil. And it's like, dude, you just don't have enough on your plate, . Yeah, I know a guy that he's a war gamer. He's coming down to Florida for our show, and he works for. He kind of does what I do, but he does it for Ford. So he gets a pretty. I would imagine gets a pretty good discount. He just sent me a picture recently of one that he has with an orange one, and I mean it's like it's doing orange. It's like. I don't think I have an orange. It is like safety cone orange. So, yeah, I like your blue color better. Actually, you know the one I really like? I really like that forest green metallic. But hopefully it turn out to be good cars. You never know. Some people say, hey, don't get a vehicle the first year they're out. And I'm like, okay, well, these people have been at cars for a while. You think they should have their act together, you know? But 1930s were just as crazy. No, the 1930s were different kind of crazy. Your people were here before the Civil War. Yes, and we left. We left because there was no gold and no air conditioning. Yeah, as far as I can tell, my people didn't make it. My people didn't make it here until 1880s, 1890s. And then they landed on this little island. And then they didn't come to this continent until the 1960s, onto the mainland. But I always liked the kid that, you know, we were here 600 years ago. And there was no gold and no freaking air conditioning. We freaking left this place. Freaking swamp with no gold, no air conditioning. Oh, man. Funny haha. All right. Yeah, I don't know that the car thing is going to change anytime soon. Oh well. Ultimately, not a huge deal. Just a little disappointing. There's there's a company, I don't remember what they're called, and this was pre-COVID, so who knows if they're still doing it anymore. But before the Broncos came out, I want to say that they made new Broncos with the old styling, and we're talking like the stuff from the '70s, not like the O.J. Simpson Bronco. We're talking about the cool one, you know, the retro red round light looking things. That, and what was the one that was also made by International? They're really cute looking little things, but they would make them, and they'd be like over $100,000. But they had all modern technology or whatever. There's some company, I don't know where they are, but they would. I don't know if they would refurbish them, but they would just rebuild them with modern tech. They'd have Bluetooth and all that kind of stuff. And that was a couple of years ago before the Broncos were getting re-released. But they're cool looking little vehicles. I mean, I don't have a use for any of that off-road capability. I just like how they look, you know? Like, I would love to have a Jeep, but, man, they're too damn freaking expensive. I don't need that kind of, you know, I'm never going to take it off-road, you know? Now they're talking about hybrid stuff and all that. I don't know. I don't want one of them vehicles. I certainly don't want a self-driving vehicle. You could shove that up your ass sideways. I'm not signing up for one of them. I'm a control freak. They were still in the American Southwest and stayed. Well, we hadn't gotten all the gold out. Still looking for that city. Self-driving vehicle. No thanks. I enjoy driving. I don't live in a place that has tremendously really bad traffic. I mean, yeah, it's every place has bad traffic, but you know, you avoid those areas, and you know, not when everybody's leaving work, and you know, like there's a couple of traffic lights here in town. I mean, I live in a town that has 150,000 people, and there's only a handful of areas that I would say are a pain in the butt to deal with. But other than that, I think traffic's pretty mild. You know, I enjoy driving. Some drivers maybe make it not as enjoyable, but that kind of goes without saying. And we're going to make all the little accoutrements in the same color as the other two. So we used this type of color here for their equipment. We're going to do the same thing with these guys. It's going to make the decision making a lot easier, and it's going to make them tie in a little bit, you know, better as a unit. So even though we have some different poses in here, they still should have some kind of a unit look to them. How long we been on here? An hour and a half? Let me guess. An hour and a half. An hour and 43. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. Getting hungry. What time is it? 4:30? No. Story of my life. Getting hungry. I woke up last night by an hour. 1:54 a.m. Obviously, I went back to sleep, but... And I don't remember if it was right after, just before that, but I had this crazy dream. Well, it wasn't really that crazy, but I'm like, oh, I got the perfect game. You know, you wake up and you're like, this is the best idea. And like 2 hours later, you're like, no, it wasn't. But it makes sense when you just woke up. I had the best idea for a zombie game. You know. I haven't played a whole lot of zombie. I don't mind zombie games. I don't like playing games that are stressful or you can't catch a breath. You know, games where you're constantly being hounded. Like, just give me a second to catch my breath. Nope, you're constantly being, you know, harassed by whatever it is. That's like stress-inducing. That's like good for people that, you know, snotling kids that don't have a real job. You know. Games that are just too difficult. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like games that are challenging, but man, I got, you know, I got real problems I got to deal with in the workplace. Not just, you know, make things difficult because, you know, sit around eating cheese puffs all day. You know, things need to be, you know, it's relaxing to, you know, to do some things, but some things are just too stressful. You know. Let's just bring this all the way up. Let's see where this takes us. Let's see where this guy takes us here. I did have somebody try to hand me a medium drink the other day. Now, I didn't let that go. Can't have that. That's just not enough drink to bring with me. You know, now at work, I have no access to drinks or waters or anything. I have to bring everything in me. So if I'm gonna go out to lunch, I'm bringing like lots of liquid back, not just 7.5 ounces. Medium drink. Or what is it like? Not that I ever go there, but McDonald's would do this thing that it's like $1 drink any size. Okay, like why would you get any size other than the biggest one? Like, no, I think I'll just have a small. What, and pay $1? Why? Just get the big one, dude. What, does it not fit in your cup holder? Doesn't make any sense. And I drink diet drinks, so it's not like, it's the calories or anything like that. I can't have all that sugar. I'd take a nap. There's got to be somebody out there that does comedy routine on things that have happened to them at a drive-thru. There's got to be something on there in their folks' basement. I find the whole zombie thing boring. I'm more into aliens. See, I prefer zombies than aliens. Aliens, I don't care for aliens. Zombies are more believable to me than aliens. I can't do the alien thing. One of my favorite games I've ever played is a zombie game. But it's not a traditional zombie game. But it's one of my favorite games ever. It just happens to be a zombie game. It's not because it has zombies. Because I'm not really drawn to the zombie genre, so to speak. But the lady's on and about today. So the wife is cooking. The daughter has so much freaking homework. She's been locked in her room all day. So I'm painting. So, if we were doing something together, yeah, I wouldn't be here. But that's why I normally paint at night, at the times that I do. Because they're out sleeping. It's not like they're getting ignored or anything. They get more sleep than I do. So everybody's at home. We're just in separate rooms. And the nice thing is now is I can stream this and I'm not affecting anybody else's streaming ability. We can all pull from the same amount and it's not really affecting anybody. Wow, the wonders of the 21st century. I don't want to do the gaming. If I do gaming instead, it's just going to put me in a bad mood. This is going to put me in a good mood, at least for a little while. I have something to show for it. Therapy. But Aliens. How many Alien games have I played that I've enjoyed? I don't know that I've played. Let's see. Awful Green Things from Outer Space. Remember that old thing? That was a fun little game. Yeah, I don't care for Alien stuff. Yeah. Their folks' basement. Yeah. What's a basement, anyways? Don't have those here. Don't have those here. Do I have... No. Oh well, we'll make do without. We're good. Yeah, no basements in Florida. Good way to fall into the aquifer. Yeah, you could tell this is already drying a little bit. This is... Alright, we need some new white now. Now we need some new white. It's all fantasy. Here should be about right. Well, I would say that there's potentially zombie apocalypses that could happen, except the zombies are different. You know, you got people that are like, toilet paper, you know. They don't want brains, they want toilet paper. Oh. Wake me up when it's over. It's going to be a long sleep. Okay, this guy's about done. Let's do the next guy. Let's get to the starting point again. Padded little jacket, similar to some of the stuff that archers had used in the 100 Years' War, or those little Russian jackets. And the Russian jackets they used in the Second World War, little padded things. Yeah, it looks similar to that. Although these seem to be shorter. I'm not really sure what it's really even doing, but, you know. We do have them here in Missouri. They're a go place. They are a go place to go escape tornadoes. Yeah, you guys have a bunch of that here. We supposedly do too, but I don't know. I think one time we heard one, but we got is lightning here. I don't like lightning at all. That's a bad idea. That's a bad invention. Should never invented lightning. Whatever happened to that silly storm? I think it went so far west it didn't even affect us. We're not even going to get any rain from it. Good. We don't need any more rain. We're super saturated here. We'll go to extremes. I think we went like 1 month of no water at all, and now like 2 months of it raining every single day. Not a break in sight. Gonna have to take a food break soon. I'm getting pretty darn hungry. I'll at least get this other guy's jacket done too. At least they'll be consistent. Yeah, but if you guys like board games, that I believe those games are still available on Steam. Let's see. Can I open up Steam and this thing doesn't freak out? Let's go to Shakespeare Shenanigans. Okay, that's Nandoa Studios. Games are so freaking good. And they're so simple. No. Okay, well, I gotta go look for Battle of original name, The Bulge. Oh, it's gone up in price. It's $9.99. Yeah. Oh, you can buy them both for $14.98. It's called Drive on Moscow. That's what it is. Yeah, those two games are spectacular. Really, really good. Unfortunately, they didn't make any more. That's a shame. Let's close this up so this doesn't freak out. And open this one up. Yeah. Drive on Moscow and Battle of the Bulge. Great games. Great games. You'd think you played the Bulge one. Yeah. I don't know that I prefer one over the other. They're both good. They're both good. And they had I believe it was called Desert Fox. And it was at Alamein. So it wasn't the whole thing. It was just had I bought it and never got a chance to play it. I think the following day the 64-bit apocalypse came and ruined it, and they never made it for the PC. So, oh well. I wish there was more games like that, because you get to do that strategy stuff, but it's not like bogged down with like a lot of complicated things, And there was that big random factor of you didn't know how long your bound was going to take, You didn't know how long it was going to take, so you had to prioritize things. Your tornadoes are wimps. Okay, well you can have them too. The big ones here, F4, F5. Those can level a town in minutes. Well, your hurricanes are wimps. Yeah. At least you can go underground. I don't mind hurricanes because you can just always leave. It's not like one of them shows up out of nowhere. And we're fortunate that we live in a part of Florida where we're kind of insulated from that kind of thing. We're right in the middle of the state, and if you don't have trees near you, you're pretty much good. You get trees near you, yeah, all kinds of stuff could happen. They can fall on your head and etc. But still better than earthquakes. Sign me. I don't have anything to do with that. No, thank you. Alright, we're going to stop for the day here. I'll show you guys where we're at on progress-wise. So, we did the little jackets and we did the shirts underneath. Let's get a little knick-knack thing here. Yeah, the colors look awful on the feet. Let's see, how do we... That's a little better. This way. That'll be the starting point there. Rick, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, and this is where we'll pick up next time. So, this is crossbowmen 4, 5, and 6 of 8. So, anyhow, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, folks. If you're still on Sunday, you're on Monday maybe now, or maybe some later date. And we'll catch you guys next time. And thanks for stopping by.